los lentes y cuidado que sí.
¿Cuántos residents?
Ready, sir.
Ready? Okay.
Dos.
Good afternoon. Regular session of Nogales Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting, 4 p.m. Wednesday, April 14th, 2021, City Hall Complex. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, will you please?
Thank you. I
Pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Members of the commission. Call to the public. Do we have anybody in call to the public?
I have none, sir.
None? Okay, we'll go on number 4. Director's report. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good afternoon. Robert Thompson, present here as acting director for the Housing Authority. One of the many hats I've been wearing lately.
Yes.
Before we get started, I come in front of the commission with some saddening news. One of our commissioners, Ms. Paulette Pineda, unfortunately passed away over the weekend. So, with your permission, Mr. Chair, if we could have a moment of silence in her memory.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To sort of put this into more lighter news, I want to share with the commission some of the efforts our housing authority staff has done within the last year or so. In fact, probably this started a little bit before that when we first started talking about modernizing some of our units. And I want to share a little snippet, a couple pictures, and then a video of before and after. This also has created a concern for us to modernize, I shouldn't say modernize, but bring up to speed our housekeeping policies. And we'll get to that a little bit later as we talk about the ACOP and PA administrative plans. I apologize for that, wrong video. As you can see, this unit was in dire need of repair. We had mold. Our floors were bad. We still had some of the old-fashioned hanging sinks in the bathrooms. Doors were bad, holes in the wall. Seemed to have been a fire or something to that extent in the staircase leading up to the second unit. Some doors that needed some paint, what have you, broken doors, broken windows. This is the same unit. This is on Esperanza Drive. It's one of the 4-bedroom units, and I think it's 586 Esperanza. I forget which unit it is, but we will show, of course, the bad pictures first, and show the efforts as to how it was completed after the fact.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
how are they regularly inspected?
So these go through a 1-year inspection or an annual inspection, and a lot of things could happen within a year. A lot of these were repaired. But as you know, Mr. Chair, sometimes the mold is just non-forgiving and it comes back. Yeah. So a lot of these things we have to go back and repair. The good thing is we were allotted some money through a grant, and we are moving forward with an additional grant for an additional set of 5 units, I believe it is, for the very near future. Upon completion of this meeting, actually, we should be able to move forward, hopefully. A lot of things were learned in the process, which we will talk about that as well on some line items that we need to address. So that is in itself the unit that we talked about, the before pictures. This is a after video to show how it ended up. Ceramic flooring, different type of commode. It's got the number 1, number 2 button. Save some water. Ceramic flooring. sink with a pedestal, solid wood floor or doors. Again, you see the ceramic flooring, paint. We removed the popcorn texture from the ceiling, went with a smooth or at least some form of a texturized finish. LED lighting, new light fixtures. Check out the cabinets. Those are solid wood cabinets, no composite materials, particle boards or what have you. Again, solid wooden doors. Those doors are actually made by hand at a factory in Sonora, near Rocky Point, and then the actual contractor who did these units brought him over. So they did an incredible job.
So everything was done by contractor, not in-house?
Right, everything was done. These were done by Esplendor Home Builders, LLC, and we will talk about them in the very near future here in the same agenda, as they've also given a very good and competitive quote for our next 5 units. And of course, as you know, the first floor we can actually put in a little bit sturdier floors, ceramic. Second floors we can't, flexibility of the wood. Again, brand new doors. They're all wood core doors. New light fixtures, as you can tell. Again, face plates to everything. Screens for the bugs, mosquitoes. Brand new semi-gloss paint. We got rid of the popcorn texture. We got rid of the sliding closet doors. Those are just hard to maintain. So we were able to get rid of those. And it's a big difference from the pictures we showed to this walkthrough video of what we have right now. We're anticipating we'll be able to do this in the very near future for an additional 5 units. Some of those units will be a UFAS build, which is basically somewhat of a handicap accessibility on the first floor. A lot of these units are going to be, actually all the following units that we'll talk about in a little bit are for the elderly, so we're addressing their concerns as well. And again, we got rid of floating sinks. We actually put either a furniture, check out that bathroom. We got rid of all that moldy tile. We put in some new ones. We put in new cabinetry instead of a closet. It looks a lot cleaner, a lot smoother.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes, sir.
Is all this work being done by a contractor?
Yes, so we contracted these out, sealed bids about 1.5 years ago. If I recall, it was around November, if not December of 2019. And Esplendor Home Builders was the one who won the bid. And we have acquired more money for an additional modernization of some units. And they've also won the bid, and we'll talk about them in a little bit right now. But yeah.
So the Housing Authority maintenance crew is not doing any make-readies anymore?
So these are not make-ready. This is a full-blown modernization. We gutted the whole apartment out, short of breaking down walls. They came in and tore everything out, put brand new things. Make-readies, we're still doing it in-house. And those are when we have something quicker, we just paint, some patchwork, stuff like that, that we can handle within 20 days. So yes, we are doing some in-house make-readies, but these are full-blown modernizations. Any other questions on before and after? One thing, yes?
Yes, go ahead.
About how much did it cost to redo the whole apartment like that?
So we did, it was 4 bids, 4 apartments, and they all came in at under $91,000
A piece or?
for all 4. So if we divide those, because it's different. This is a 2-story, took a little bit more. We did a couple of 1-stories with different requirements. I don't recall if you were here, Commissioner Diaz, when we talked about the UFAS, which is kind of like a handicap-ready type of environment. And I forgot what that acronym stands for, perhaps, Mr. Bojorquez. UFAS? It was I forgot what it was. But technically, it's sort of almost close to a handicap-accessible type of build. So those take a little bit less to do because they're typically the 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. This is a full-blown 4-bedroom that we redid. I'm not too sure how much this particular unit cost. However, if we were to divide it between 4 units, we're looking at around $20,000, a little over $20,000. And it's solid wood cabinets, brand new fixtures, brand new faucets, brand new sinks, brand new plumbing that we could see, brand new texture, semi-gloss paint. We got away from the flat because it's just easier to clean, ceramic flooring. It's a lot easier, at least in my own opinion, to replace a chipped or broken ceramic piece of tile than it would be linoleum or some of these older asbestos infested type of tiles that I know we cleaned out years ago, back in the early 90s. However, there's still remnants in some of those. So it's a step forward to include a brand new breaker panel, which are in dire need of upgrades. Those are your main security for fires and stuff like that. So we're moving forward with more modernizations. We're addressing our elderly needs right now to get those equipped. In fact, we have a really cool one for bungalow that is going to be tricky, but we know we're going to be able to get it done. So yeah, stay tuned for more. Stay tuned for a lot more of these modernizations and all that good stuff. We anticipate getting these units done at least 5, maybe 6 per year, because that's just how long it takes. The good thing is we were able to work through COVID, and that didn't slow us down. So we anticipate to do that, if not more, in the next coming months. Any questions on this modernize?
One more quick question.
Yes, sir.
When the damage is deliberate, are the tenants held accountable for that?
Yes, sir, we are. So we do a move-out inspection through which an assessment is done, and there is a fee attached to that.
Okay,
Heard anything from HUD regarding any monies coming from the federal government for housing infrastructure?
We have not heard much on it. I received a couple emails with the new ARP, I think is what it's called, or I forget what the acronym used by the current administration is, on some monies being obligated to housing. I'm not too sure what that number entails or what they will be used for, but we are anticipating getting some of that money for exactly that. Infrastructure-wise, at least for the units, we have to repair a lot of the structures outside cosmetically. They need paint. Some of our sidewalks are broken or need repair. Pull out some shrubbery, stuff like that. We need to readdress our dumpster sections, get those redone, and some major plumbing, connecting the units to our sewage and stuff like that.
How many grants do you still have open?
We still have 19, which we should be able to close in modernizing, and some in the 20. I'm not too sure what the exact count is, but we do have quite a few. Yes. And we're ready to get 21 in as soon as we can.
So when you do the annual plan, we're due for the annual plan for this year, right?
So annual plan is out right now, being published, or has been published. We're waiting for the 45-day marker to come in. And then next year, there was a change in HUD. We would have to address the 5-year plan, which we will come back, bring to the commissioners in the 5 years. Next year, yes.
We
So,
just did that one last year.
What?
Can we do that last year?
Yes, but there was a change in HUD now. So we will have to resubmit a new 5-year plan. The powers to be asked us to do so, and we'll follow suit. It's a lot better to do so. We could have done it this year. However, us, along with a lot of the housing authorities, at least in Arizona, have decided to just wait till next year and submit it all in one shot and start fresh in 2021. On the same note, our 5-year plan for, because we have 2 different types of plan. Our administrative plan, which is the projects and everything, and then we have the operations one, and I forget what the name of it's called. Long story short is, we're also publishing that for the next 45 days, and we should be able to bring that back, if not by May or early June, for the commissioners to approve. I know Ms. Murrieta had, under the RAP board, had already seen it, and the RAP board is okay with what we're planning to do. It's going to entail paint. It's going to entail more modernization. It's going to address a playground. It's going to address a lot of things that we probably haven't looked at for a while. And the money's there, so might as well go out there and grab it. The good thing is it doesn't really impact the city's budget at all. But if it were, we could be able to get that reimbursed through HUD somehow. So we'll talk about that in items 11 and 12 in a little bit. So, yeah, we got a lot of administrative work to do, and we're moving forward for that. All we're waiting right now is for the time limits to expire, and we should be able to come back to this commission and bring back the annual plan, plus the 5-year plan on the operations side, and I forget what it's called, but there's the operations plan and then there's the administrative plan. We're good in the admin plan till next year, and then the other one. So the way I describe them, it's the Marta plan and the Herb plan.
So, Mr. Thompson, so the 5-year plan that we approved last year, those monies that were allocated to those years, from 2018 to
23.
23?
So what we're gonna do is at 21, we'll present 21, 22, 23, and add on 24 and 25. Yes, we'll do that. Why? Because we already had a roadmap as to where we wanted to go, and we still want to go with that roadmap. So when we bring back that 5-year plan, we're only really basically looking at 2 years or any small revisions into the first 3. Either way, that is our plan, to come back with a 5-year plan that already has those 3 years, and it's great for our new commissioners to see and know, so they know what, excuse me, what our blueprint is for the next 5 years as it entails to the housing authority. So we'll just add at 2 years. Just don't tell anybody I'm doing that.
Is HUD coming down to Nogales anytime this year?
I am anticipating they are. There's a couple invites sent out to us by Mr. Chung on the inspections that he does. I know last year we didn't do one, so I anticipate one this year, hopefully in the late fall. So, we'll prepare as much as we can for that. And just to let the commission know, we get an inspection, and I forget what it's called. I always forget that name.
REAC?
The REAC. So we get the REAC where our operations guru, Mr. Herb Chong, comes down and he says, I want to see apartments 2, 12, 15, and 18. Back in the day, we used to get forewarning on that. Now we don't. So we got to make sure that all 226 units are to par. And we got very little time to do so. And when we go through the REAC inspection, and if there's any hiccups along the road and there's anything pointed out to us, we have a specific time frame where we need to correct those, and we now are able to document those via photos through our new iPads, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, and send those out, and they are taken care of immediately. So there's a lot of things. It eliminates a second REAC inspection, as long as we are presenting the right information via email and or some other form of delivery. But yeah, I anticipate a REAC inspection come August, September.
You all done?
I think that is it for now, because I can talk about this for hours.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. All right, we'll go to number 5. Housing resolutions. Consideration possible action of housing resolution 2021-04-01, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the Nogales, City of Nogales, approving a significant amendment on capital fund project water heaters, capital grant AZ 20P 23501-19. Discussion. Yes.
I see that you got 2 bids on the for the water heaters, JC Plumbing and Unlimited Plumbing, $1,500 a piece for 20 units, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
that's installed and the whole kit and caboodle?
It's purchase, install, removal, and disposal.
Okay. 1,500 is a little bit expensive, don't you think, for water heater? Or even installing, I don't know, Mayor, what do you think?
It's very expensive.
Very expensive, no?
But, you dig it for a bidding process.
We did. We submitted the bids through usual means, media, newspaper, what have you. We received 2 of them. There was at least 5 people that were wanting to bid but never came back with the correct or with the total information, and some just plainly didn't do so. So these 2 were the ones we were left with.
And these water heaters are 20, 30 gallon?
40 gallon.
40 gallon?
40 gallon.
Which is only about a difference of about $50 to $60 or less.
Correct.
Yeah, because the reason I'm saying is that they're about $400 and some when at Home Depot. And it takes me half an hour to install.
Right.
it. Take it off and install a new one. And that even if I have to do some copper
Correct.
soldering and new copper lines and stuff, so, but you know, the thing is that, too bad we don't have anybody in-house that knows how to do it.
And we,
But I guess you have to,
Chairman,
yes,
I think, we're just approving the resolution for this item on the significant amendment.
yes,
That one water heater bid is coming up later on in the.
yes, but I'm just following the question that Mr. Diaz wanted to answer. As that, you know, when you look at it, it does, you know, cost us incredible.
yes,
You're basically, according to the numbers, you're basically paying about $1,000 more.
I can probably answer that question, Mr.
Go ahead.
HUD will not let the maintenance crew from the housing authority do that, because it changes their scope of work. So, if you put a maintenance person to do a plumber's job, you have to pay him that wage. So that's why they're trying to get away from that, and HUD's not allowing the maintenance department to do any of the remodel.
correct,
stations,
exactly.
right?
So, and the same concept would be later on for when we talk about the evap coolers and the gate valves. We have to bid these out, contract them out, and that's just the HUD way of doing things.
Yeah, the federal government just to buy a toilet for $100.
Exactly,
For the seat.
exactly.
We used to do it before, but then HUD says, you're not paying the Davis-Bacon wages.
We won't fund you.
Doing that type of work, you're out of compliance.
One more quick question on water heaters. Are these removed every so many years and then replaced, or when they break down?
So we were replacing these as needed. We are now, as part of our, as Mr. Bojorquez was talking, as part of our 5-year plan, was to address these needs. We were able to capture funding for 20, or at least it was a dollar amount. I shouldn't say that, right? So it was a dollar amount, and when we put out the bid, we realized that it's just a little bit more, $10,000 more than what we anticipated. But these are replaced as needed. Some of these will probably, not these specific 20 ones, but other ones have been replaced in-house. And I believe there was one go-around similar to this several years ago. I'm not too sure. But yeah, as needed is
As
when they
needed.
get replaced.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any more discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let me make sure I hear you all.
Aye.
Everybody say aye.
Aye.
Betty. Ya sabes cómo son. Number 2, consideration possible action on housing resolution 2021-04-02, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the new line item modernization added to the 2019 capital grant AZ OPO 23501-19 and 2020 capital grant AZ 20 PO 23501-20.
So move.
Sec-
Discussion.
What, I don't understand, I don't understand the reason they're trying to add a new line item for modernization. When you change water heaters, when you change toilets, when you change cabinets, you're modernizing the unit. So that is modernization, so I don't know what this one
Are
line
these,
item.
Is it modernization because they're energy efficient or?
No, so the language behind this, and I was waiting for that exact same question, is the fact that in our budget, at least for 2019 and potential future budgets, we didn't have a line item called flooring. So when we modernized apartments, when we did work on units, we realized that we were pulling flooring funds from a non-flooring budget. So in conversation with our friends at HUD, Mr. Chung, and our partners at Lindsay, the company that does our budgeting, they recommended that we create a catch-all. And what does this catch-all do? Well, we will funnel money into this modernization line budget that will cover everything from the first nail down to the last piece of tile you do, as long as it's under that criteria. So we do have line items for water heaters, line items for light fixtures, line items for plumbing, what have you. What we're gonna do is we're gonna shrink those, and those line items are not gonna be for repair/maintenance. The modernization line budget, the money that we have deobligated from those or reallocated from those and allocated to this line item will be for the full-blown modernization like the ones I just showed right now. In fact, we were caught on a simple game of semantics, flooring. We had no flooring line item, and we weren't thinking about it because, well, we figured it was a catch-all, we were gonna modernize something. So now it's being requested that we have this line item, so there's no hiccups along the road. This would probably be the main funding source for a lot of our modernization projects, and it's gonna cover everything. Within that line item, we will have detailed list of how many nails, how many gallons of paint per unit, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a catch-all line item, an umbrella line item. However, we saw we were deficient over here. My question was, why don't we just add a flooring line item? Well, we were a little bit too late behind the game on that one because we had already spent the money.
So now we can look at a capital fund grant with maybe 3 line items like administration, engineering, and architect, and modernization,
And modernization,
and that's it?
and that's it. We will still have the smaller ones for repair and maintenance on our regular, everyday, in-house workers, and this would be for our contract or bidded out projects. That's the recommendation being given to us by our partners at HUD and also our accounting people at Lindsay. I asked the same question, why don't I just create one called flooring? Well, it'd be easier if we go with this route because we can capture it all together. So,
Yeah, well, it's easier, I just didn't see the logic.
I questioned it too, sir. In fact, it got to a point where we're discussing it, and at the end of the day, it made sense because if we're modernizing apartment number 20, and in that bid, we forgot to say P-trap, and we go down there in that sink and we see it's all destroyed, we could go to the line item called plumbing and pull it from there, or since we can allocate a huge amount of money to a modernization project, we can put it in there.
More discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just before we continue, I forgot to mention that Vice Mayor Lopez called me, and said that she is gonna be busy in Guadalajara, Sonora, actually, with the Vida Cinco de Mayo situation. And she had an event over there, so she's actually representing the whole council. And Mrs. Montiel, did she call you? She didn't call me, so I don't know why she's not here. So. But the Vice Mayor did call me, all right? So just before we go any further. Okay. Number 3, consideration possible action on housing resolution 2021-04-03, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the removal of a previous bank signature from bank accounts of the Nogales Housing Authority at the JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo Bank.
So moved, Mayor.
Second?
Who's gonna be the person?
Right now, we do have, Mr. Chair, we do have 3 signatures, Ms. Ibarra, Jaques, and Rodriguez. Mr. Kissinger's on there as well. So once we name a actual director, we'll bring this motion back, or this agenda item back, and get a name solidified in there as well.
So why do you have 3?
Revolving door with directors. That's been the issue.
So why wouldn't just Mr. Kissinger be the one?
That's a good point. We can certainly bring that back and
The
have,
signature's supposed to be on the directors,
correct,
so. we
and
have-
in our finance. So it would be Ms. Ibarra and secondary signature director or someone.
Okay. I was just wondering.
So when did the other two get on?
Those were put on back in November of, híjola, when we brought Mr. Gadet's name up for signature. I forget when it was.
Bringing his name up.
Yeah,
Only.
I remember his, but I don't remember.
I remember getting
Hopkins
other
and,
signatures in there.
what's
That's
the
why
other
I'm
one,
asking.
Rodriguez?
Our PHA specialist. Terry, do you by chance have that resolution?
Yes, I do.
What month or what year was it?
Let me get that info for you.
Okay.
So Jorge,
Yes.
turn your mic on. ¿Mío también? O yo hablo bastante pues.
Mr. Chair, we can move on with this item,
Yeah,
no big deal.
all right, let's just go ahead. Okay, so,
You have it, Terry? Sorry, guys.
okay.
That was presented on December 11, 2019, which we presented a resolution removing Francisco Padilla and Guadalupe Robles and adding Frida Rodriguez.
When was that, Terry?
That was December 11, 2019.
2019. And that's probably when we were without a director as well. I think Mr. Gaday was appointed sometime in March or something to that extent of 2020.
Okay, all right then.
So we can certainly bring back, and we should have caught this, bring back another cleaning agenda item to remove Ms. Rodriguez if this is what the commissioners choose to do.
Well, we should have the one.
The one.
If, and I think we discussed it, that if the director wasn't within the department or there was no named director, then Mr. Kissinger would be the one.
Correct.
I remember very well that discussion. So I think he should be the one for now,
For now.
and then we'll bring it back, I guess, on another meeting. But I'm
Correct.
just telling you that. we should
Yes,
do that,
absolutely.
and then
So
if
for
we
now,
do get a director, then that director automatically will.
we'll automatically,
back.
we'll bring that back
Huh?
and put that. For now, I think it's best to just move forward and remove Mr. Gadet's signature.
Is,
Go ahead,
is,
Councilman.
are our checks, two signature checks or?
Terry, are our checks dual signature?
Yes, they are. So Ms. Rodriguez and Mr. Kissinger are signing the checks.
Okay.
Oh, the one signing it? Okay,
So I guess inadvertently, we do have a backup plan.
all right. Okay,
Thank you, Terry.
so actually, is there?
So
I guess we do
basically
have
just
to
a
pass this
remove,
resolution.
pass to remove?
It's just to remove.
Yeah.
So this one's just to remove Mr. Gadet.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ya te vistes a Mr. Díaz. You looking at Mr. Díaz? Lo viste. Estás muy
I
calladito.
heard myself too.
You heard yourself.
I heard myself.
Estás muy calladito. Number 4, consideration possible action of Housing Resolution 2021-04, and a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales, the sealed bid submitted by J.C. Plumbing for 20 40-gallon short 34 BTU water heaters funded through grant AZ 20 PO 23501-19.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
That's the one we discussed.
Yeah, the one we discussed right now. I was about to say
And
that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
if I recall correctly, part of the bid also entails, it's the shorty ones. So obviously what we need to do is bring those off from the ground. I don't remember if you recall, Commissioner Bojorquez, back in the day, we had our water heaters flush on the floor, on the ground. However, there's been a change in how we install those. which is why we're going to the shorty, which might be a little bit more expensive, and we need to build a nice platform for them. So that's an additional cost.
Are they on the first floor, Hector, or the second floor?
Yeah, on the
First floor,
First floor, inside or outside?
inside.
Inside, okay. All right. Okay, so we had discussion on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Nice have it, thank you very much. Number 5, consideration possible action of Housing Resolution 2021-04-05, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the sealed bid submitted by Leyva Refrigeration LLC 28 new 3,000 CFM evaporative coolers for Leglu and Guerrero apartment units funded through grant AZ 20P023501-19.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir.
I was looking at, and this is regarding all the bids, and not just this one. And most of them are way off, like different difference.
Right.
Like on the water heaters, it was 14,500. On the coolers, 14,200. And then there's one on some gate valves. It's the difference was 20,800. Are all the bidders getting the same specifications, or are they doing their own specifications?
So what we do, Commissioner Bojorquez, is we create the packets and we put those out. We publish them, media, newspaper, what have you. These contractors are given the packet upon them requesting one. It could either be email or in person or what have you. And then they decide if they choose to do a walkthrough as to what they're getting themselves involved in. And they ultimately decide what the running rate per unit would be. In these cases, we did notice that there's a significant change from one contractor to the next. I asked the question if we were doing an ICE bid, an independent contractor estimation, to see where we would be in the ballpark. The answer to that was no. Usually we do those independent contract estimations on bigger projects. So as is, these two were the only two that brought in, pertaining to this item, Leyva and Frontier brought in a bid. Upon opening, we saw a difference. And unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side of the spectrum you are, our federal partners encourage us to go with the lowest bid. Might not always be the right choice. Sometimes we want quality over quantity. We have been lucky where we received both in the past, so we're anticipating this be the same thing. But yeah, there's a big difference. It might be the fact that it's less people working. Perhaps it's more people working. I'm not too sure. Or some of these entities, contractors, are just willing to work for a cheaper rate because it's what I see is contracting jobs are a little bit scarce right now because of COVID. So maybe bite a little and run with it. That's just the only
You'll
thing.
always get a difference when you're bidding and involved with it. Okay? It's always going to be the same way. Because if you're smart, when you bid, because these are sealed bids,
Correct,
and they're all submitted a certain date,
correct,
and they're all open the same day.
correct.
So you go through the whole process. But if you're a smart person in construction, you will drop down a little bit because you know everybody's going to be way up here because it's a federal money coming in and federal jobs. You saw the water heaters.
Yes, sir.
And you know, it's a custom that the contractors have. So, but if you're smart, you come down and you'll get it. You're probably going to get the same type of job. And the person is low, is probably going to get good money out of it. Actually, if you start going back and looking at prices, it'll be the same.
Yes, sir.
He'll get his money out of it, but the only difference between him and the rest, he's going to be getting the job and the other's not.
Correct.
It works like that with federal monies.
Yeah, and make sure that they're getting good quality
Material.
materials too, because if they're bidding low and they're using cheap materials, it's not going to help us any.
Yeah, well, when you go with water heaters, there's no such thing as cheap water heaters. You might get maybe cheap materials and certain other things, when you buy stuff for roofs and stuff like that, there's some don't have fiberglass, the shingles or roofing paper, some do. But when it comes to water heaters, electronics, valves, everything, there's nothing cheap about it. You're gonna get that work. But it's gonna be probably where they're cutting down on it is on the labor, and that's how they're getting the work done. We do have somebody that oversees this, don't we? When
Yes.
it's being done.
Yes. And you
Yeah,
know,
so,
it's a good idea if you have the maintenance person or somebody in maintenance that knows about construction and about water heaters and gate valves and coolers, so they can do their own specifications or their own kind of bid, you know, and say, you know, this should cost you like $15,000. You know, it might go up to 18,
Right.
or maybe 13, down to 13, but it's going to be in that range.
And right now, we're all anticipating that a lot of these building materials are gonna be increasing in price.
They are
So-
already.
If they're on the hook for 20,000, I wanna keep them on the hook.
yeah.
I wanna keep-
Yeah, but stuff like this is not gonna go up in prices. It's building materials.
building
going up in price, huh?
And this also does include removal, replacement, disposal.
Yeah. And where do they dispose them at? The county or the city?
I can certainly direct them to where we need them to be directed.
Is the contractor disposing of them? Or
Yes, contractors disposing.
Just a quick comment. I had Leva do work for me, and he's good, and he's reasonable, and he's local. So, but he does good work, and he does our stuff here at the
It's
BFW.
good that we,
So he's pretty good, and
Yeah.
he's very reasonable on the price. So, you know, there's a big difference there. I see the big difference, but he doesn't gouge you.
Well, and
It's
you know,
reasonable.
and that's the good thing about it, that the majority of the work and all the projects for many years, even when you were there, Councilman, that usually local contractors were doing the work, huh?
Yeah.
People weren't, from the outside weren't bidding on the projects. The roofing and all that, I remember, and the painting of the buildings, it was being done by local contractors,
Yeah.
which is good. Okay, hearing none, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it. Number 7, consideration possible action of housing resolution 2021-04-07, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the sealed bid submitted by Esplendor Home Building LLC for the modernization of a four one-story. Did I jump?
No. We voted on number 6.
So we voted on 5. We somewhat
six.
skipped 6, but we can certainly.
Oh,
move
gate
to-
valves, yeah, that's right.
We can certainly move to 7 and come
No,
back to
no,
6.
no, let's go to 6. See, that's the reason we have a judge here. Not only an attorney, but a judge.
He's gonna keep us in check.
He's gonna judge us on this one, huh? I'm sorry about that, yes. And see, what happens is I circle as I'm going, I circle 6. My fault. Okay, let's go. Number 6, consideration possible action on housing resolution 2021-04-06, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Nogales Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the sealed bid submitted by J.C. Plumbing for 65 gate valves at various sites funded through grant AZ 20P 23501-20.
so move.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Letty, it's an aye. Number 7, consideration and possible action on housing resolution 2021-04-07, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the sealed bid submitted by Esplendor Home Building LLC for the modernization of 4 one-story apartments at 611 Leglu 5, at 611 Leglu 6, at 611 Leglu 7, number 7, at 30 bungalow funded through Grant AZ 20PO 23501-19.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
I just wanna say that, Mr. Esplendor Contractors does an excellent job, you know, he's done
Yes.
real good work all throughout the county. And, I've seen his work and he's done a lot of work for the housing authority.
Oh, yeah, a lot of work for
And I
him.
highly recommend it.
He's very good, good company. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 8, consideration possible action on housing resolution 2021-04-08, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales authorizing the Housing Director to make any necessary updates and changes that are mandated by HUD to NHA's admission and continue occupancy and administrative plan for the purpose of bringing these documents to compliance.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is housekeeping. We have received different guidelines, policies, what have you, throughout the last couple of years that need revision. A lot of these policies are in place, and once we have a complete and functioning ACOP manual and AP manual, we will bring it back to this commission for ratification. None of the policies we're looking at are created in-house. These are all suggested and recommended externally through our partners, and we find it necessary to do this housekeeping.
All right.
Do we need to ratify that? 'Cause once we approve the changes, you know, you make the changes to the ACOP and the AP.
Just my own personal choice, I think it would be a lot easier, well, I would prefer that the commission reads them at one point in time or another. We may not have to put an agenda item to ratify them. We can certainly bring those back saying these are the changes, unless the commission has full faith and credit on staff to do so and move forward with them. It's totally a choice. We do not have to bring them. We're just asking for permission to do so.
Yeah, because if we approve them right now and then later on they bring them for ratification and say, hey, one of us can say, you know, I didn't know this was one of the changes, I don't approve it.
Yeah.
And we've already approved it.
Right. So this would be permission to start bringing in those, start making those changes, and then bringing up a complete set later on for ratification. And of course, if there's a policy guideline or what have you that doesn't merit our needs, we can certainly discuss those, strike those, and then bring that specific one
Does
back.
it have to be passed right now?
There's some changes. There have been stagnant that have been in play for a couple of years. By a couple of years, I mean 2-3 years at the most, that were changes that came up. And it's probably best to get those done.
Is it time sensitive?
Well, they've been sitting on the shelf for a while, and I know that in our last audit, or at least in one of the audits, I should say, Marta Duron, our partner at HUD, she made a concern or brought up concern that we still had old policies in place. So that sparked this to come forth. However, we lost the former director, and here we are trying to play catch up with this to get at least those through the commission. I'm inclined to look through all of them. The ACOP revisions are very simple. Those are published and printed. We just have to adopt them. The administrative plan also are guided through by HUD as well, so it wouldn't be a big thing. Internal policy, there might be some conflict that we understand, and there might be some changes that we need to do internally. I totally understand that with the ACOP manual, because there is some limitations or some justification for in-house housing management to make some changes. And they're not policy changing, it's just administrative, internal, housekeeping policies, stuff like that, deposits for pets and all that stuff that are silent in our ACOP policy, and we want to make sure that commissioners are on board as to what we're asking for our tenants or from our tenants. And a lot of these things are silent in the manual. And
I trust you and your crew
thank you,
to do it.
thank you. Yeah, there's housekeeping, and as an example, the pet policy, right? It's not silent, but it says one pet. However, there's no deposit, and sometimes we see that the pit is just a little bit too
Well,
rambunctious.
these changes are following guidelines of how they're following
Correct.
everything, so.
Correct.
Let's go ahead.
Mayor, we're approving to update it and make changes. We're not, you'll bring it back and.
Right, so this is
Changes are
pretty
made.
much permission for us to go ahead
To
and.
look into it.
Start working,
Yeah.
start working on it, yeah. Okay,
And just,
all in favor, oh, did you want to say
just
something?
for clarification, ACOP and AP, the only difference is ACOP is for public housing and AP is for Section 8.
Okay,
And they're very similar.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it. Number 9, consideration possible action on Housing Resolution 2021-04-09, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the disposal of obsolete dwellings, appliances, including stoves, refrigerators, water heaters, and gym equipment, and any other bulk equipment. Okay, talk to me. First, let's get a motion on this. You're trying to stop me on that
Talk to
one.
me about the gym equipment.
Yes. Okay, do you have a motion?
So move.
Motion.
Second? Okay, discussion. Talk to me about the gym equipment.
Mr.
I know
Chair.
the stoves and everything else, but
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is basically housekeeping as well. We do have some really ratted out, deteriorated gym equipment in our gym off of Western Avenue and IOOF that at this point has been deemed unsafe. We have been trying to get rid of that for a significant amount of time, and it's just, we haven't been able to get past that process. We do have replacements of said equipment. Our gym still remains closed for a number of reasons, and we're anticipating to open that soon, in the very near future. However, we want to clean up house. Some of these gym equipment have been already pushed out, and they're just deteriorating, sitting in the back, just rusting out, and we just want to get rid of all that.
when we bought that equipment on my first administration,
So,
Rafael Velasquez, he helped us out on that.
yes,
They didn't last that long.
no,
It was 7 years, 6 years, 7 years.
perhaps they got a lot of good use, and that's what I'm hoping for, or maybe none at all.
And we can we auction it through our city policy?
Yeah, when the housing authority disposes of any equipment or any appliances, they go to the city and the city, they either take it to,
Recycle,
yeah,
or can it be auctioned?
yeah, you can auction them or you can throw them away, dispose of them.
But these stoves and refrigerators, I assume they don't work.
No sirven.
It's
So
trash.
these have been recycled one too many parts, or times they've been gutted out. At this point, we've been fortunate enough to receive a capital project for the replacement of such, and this is what we're getting in return.
And our city crews will be able to pick it up and dispose of it.
So we typically have the city crews come over and dispose of at our transfer station here, and then we flip the bill, the housing authority flips the bill for the disposal fees. Or we're in talks with the same people who help us with our transfer
Recycle.
station, so the recycling program, to give us a bin, drop it off, and once it's full, we pick up the phone and they'll do the collection and stuff. And this is all junk. I'll call it junk.
Yeah.
It's just old stoves that don't work, refrigerators that don't work anymore, missing components because we recycled. We took from Peter to give to Paul. And I think we're beyond that point. I think we're at the point where if we do have a broken refrigerator, we should have the funding to replace it flat.
Yes.
So that's our commitment to our tenants at the
Okay.
Housing Authority. And this is for junk.
Okay,
And by disposing by resolution is we can take them off the books from the housing authority.
Right.
Good.
And if we read further into this, we will come back yearly and say we dispose of X, Y, or Z serial numbers and everything, how we dispose of that, to bring the commission informed as to how we did it. The reason this is back, we do have a current resolution in the books talking about this that gives us the authority to a certain point. There was a specific name attached to the resolution saying the commission gives so-and-so the authority to do so. I think that's wrong. I think it should be to the office of the executive director or a designee. And it was the individual who replaced you at the time, so it's been untouched since then. So this is all housekeeping that we're looking into resolutions to make sure that we're, informed or up to speed as to where we need to be. And I think that's going to be a catch-all since it doesn't have a specific person, but it does have the office or the title of the individual responsible for this.
And
Okay, were you gonna say something? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Councilman. Or
just a
Commissioner.
comment, scrap metal's going for 150 a ton. Just scrap, just old iron, tin, whatever. 150 bucks a ton. Miracle Mile Recycling in Tucson.
So that would be something we can certainly engage with them. This is basically just disposal, whatever the disposal,
You'll get $150.
$150 for a whole bunch.
Sure,
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
call for the question.
There you go. That's the word I like to hear, my friend. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 10.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Can
Oh,
I-
that's right. We're gonna
Yeah.
be,
Can I move to just table this? We were having conversations, sidebar, with Mr. Rojorquez early on today on the phone, again with housing staff, and we haven't really closed the books for 2021. So I think we need to close the books before we bring back and say, hey, we were over our budget. As anticipated right now, it looks like we're only over $69,000+. So if we add another 5, and that's a conservative number, we would bring that back to the commission. However, in the budget presented in the next item, you'll see that the overage is already applied to that budget, so it would consume the overage. So I'm trying to see if we really need to bring this issue up.
okay.
Or if HUD is just gonna say, not a problem.
Both 10 and 11?
So 10 is gone, 11 is our new budget,
Okay,
which we can certainly talk about.
okay. Yes, motion to table. Well, do you tabling that one or
Yeah,
just removing it?
well, removing it, we can certainly bring it back in May if necessary.
No action.
No action.
Let's just take it off the book.
We
Yeah,
might
well, this-
revisit in May, might.
Okay. All right, we're gonna skip to 11. Consideration possible action of Housing Resolution 2021-04-11. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving and adopting the Nogales Housing Authority operating budget for April 1, 2021 through March 31st, 2022.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Mr. Chair, I do have, members of commission, I do have an update on the budget. I circulated a new one, and it's got an increase of $20,000. The reason for that increase is we typically pay our temp employees out of the administrative payroll services. However, we deem that it's probably best to have a line item for it, so we can track it accordingly. That's the only change we're bringing in the addition I furnished today. As you know, this budget is funded through federal funds, through HUD. Without being so curt, we're spending their money. And if there's an overage, we still get to spend their money. So I asked the commission to approve the budget as proposed. Our local RAB board has seen it. They're all in agreement as to all. As we present the 5-year plan or the annual plan in May, you'll see where a lot of the money is going to be consumed. And I hope you have faith in us that we will be able to spend all that money. It's not that easy to spend it. I'm learning. It takes a lot of time and dedication to get it. So that's just my recommendation. If needed and the commission needs more time to review this, we can certainly set it aside for a different day. I don't know if that would have any operational impacts on our end.
I think it's better we go ahead and approve it, and then if he wants to revise it later on, because this was due April 1st,
April
right?
1st, correct.
So, it's not good to be operating without a budget.
All right,
And it's,
So what I'm looking at,
let's,
that,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you have to, well,
Mr. Bojorquez, excuse me, Mr. Worker, could you take charge of the meeting, please?
The what?
Take charge of the meeting?
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Right. So I'm looking at the revenues and the expenses, and it's good. We're looking good because we have a surplus of 23,562.
Correct.
When we get all the revenue minus the expenses, the way that HUD or Lindsay, whoever prepares this budget, on the back, on page, page 6 of 14, that's where you're saying that they're rolling over that overage of 69,180.
It appears to be that's the direction they're taking.
So in essence, we're only gonna be like 40-some thousand dollars over.
Over
when we-
budget.
Yeah, when we include this. But you can go ahead and work through each line item.
And find out how much we can take.
Yeah, and take from each line item, whatever line item you can, and try to balance that budget. And then, we can revise it later on.
Thank you for that feedback, Commissioner Bojorquez. We're certainly anticipating to do that. One thing, as if we compared the old budget to the new one thing that we didn't anticipate on the one that just closed was, we told people to stay home and they stayed home during COVID. So that's why our water skyrocketed, that's why our sewer went up, that's why our sanitation collections went up, and unfortunately, that's why our rent collections went down. There was moratorium on a lot of things. We currently have certain NHA tenants that we're working on a formal agreement to get some of that money back. So that'll hopefully offset some of that 69,000 as we move forward into the future. And I know I'm talking about the old item that we discussed, but as the commissioner said, probably best to move forward at this point, and revisions are always, can be done. It's a very fluid budget, not so much as to what we're used to on the city side.
And it's understandable because sometimes, when there's expenses that are out of your control, like you said, utilities and stuff like that, it's very hard to
forecast.
Stay on budget, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed is on the salaries, I looked at one of the maintenance workers. He's going from 25,980 to 25,950, so he's getting $30 less.
So we will make that change. I see that. That's probably a typo.
Okay.
It probably won't affect, us too much, but we'll go ahead and correct that as well. We've been working with Lindsay on and off the last couple of days, just trying to get this squared away and us to be able to wrap our heads around it. And we still keep finding little hiccups here and there. However, the $30 difference is probably not a huge hit, but we will certainly get that addressed.
And the other one is on the housing specialist, public housing. I don't know if you will need to talk to the chairman when he gets back. I don't think that we can approve any
Right.
increases.
And that is also a typo on the Lindsay side. We can certainly look at that. We're looking at it being the same as it has been, the 2778, to carry that over and make that adjustment.
Okay. What is this temporary employee?
That sometimes we have, so last year some of our employees were hit with COVID. So we brought in some temp employees to help us do a lot of the internal clerical type of stuff. So that's where that comes in.
Okay.
We're budgeting at 20,000 just in case as a cushion. And this last year we consumed $12,566 of it.
So,
Two employees in our clerical.
I would go with your actual from this year.
Mhm.
And, since we're trying to balance the budget, maybe we can take some money out of that one because that's like almost $8,000. And then there's the other one on the specialist was $7,000. So,
So we're getting closer to that
getting
69
closer to
goal.
that balance.
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah, on the overtime on administration, is that used at all, or how come it went from 5 to 0?
So we had no overtime anticipated for.
But was it because of COVID?
Because
or
of
what?
COVID. And these numbers are projected by our friends at Lindsay who prepare our budgets for us. We can certainly plug in a number in there. Usually the overtime consumed there would be our staff, Section 8, PHA, finance, and our inspector who would be inside, and our clerk inside to do those. So we can certainly plug in a number in there to safely project something. If Commission's inclined, we can throw in that $5,000 number in there as well.
And the other thing, because of the comment made earlier, when Mr. Martinez was director, we had the good issue or bad issue that we had money to spend and we wouldn't spend it.
Right,
Let's stay on top of that,
right.
we wouldn't keep up with, doing our diligence and maintenance and stuff like that, and we had the money to do it.
Correct.
That's it.
And I think with those slight adjustments there, and Commissioner Mojarcas, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it wouldn't impact too much on our budget as presented today, and if necessary, we can certainly bring that up for a revision later in time.
Yeah, and it's, once you deduct all those typos, you get closer to a balanced budget. And going back to Mr. Maldonado's question, on overtime, you have 28,000 for last year, and you're budgeting 28,000 for this coming year. Why don't we just wait for the actual?
Okay.
Saying you're getting the actual, and if it's less than 20,000, well, that's great. If it's more than 20,000, let's go with that, whatever the actual was. And I know that the overtime is we can't avoid that because most of that is for the on-call.
That's exactly where it's consumed.
Because you have to have an on-call person every day of the week there.
Correct. That's exactly where it's consumed. And we limited the on-call, right currently as is, our maintenance supervisor takes the on-call Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning and then stops at Friday at 5 p.m. Then we have an on-call person over the weekend starting 5 p.m. Friday and ending Monday morning at 8 a.m. Calls are few and far in between, but that does consume that overtime budget.
I have a question, and it's not within this budget, but I heard somebody say that the employees are getting charged for there's a Bravo plan for the city of Nogales.
So that's part of our employee benefit trust. I think there's a meeting scheduled sometime this month, Judy?
So within next month, I'm not exactly sure when. I think it's
Right.
the first week.
And we can certainly do that. And what that is Bravo is an incentive program that allows for employees to get into a fitness program per se and mind their blood pressure, sugar, and all this other stuff. And if you're within that scope that the city designates, then your premium is set at a rate. If you're above that or outside of what we're asking our employees to be in, like me, there's a $40 surcharge?
Yeah, 30 to 40. is-
$30 to $40.
So the employee pays that difference?
It pays that, yes.
Is that a voluntary thing, or is that?
No, that was a plan adjustment that was implemented back in the day through our EBT board.
Is that biometric? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, and we are moving away from Bravo as of next year. So
As of next month.
as of next month, we're done with Bravo.
It's good to have that.
It is. It kind of hurts you. It's one less Big Mac you can have.
But I mean, it keeps you in shape.
Right.
And if you get a certain score on it,
You're
better.
correct. And that's why we have our clinics in here. We consume this whole council room, and we take our little blood, test and all this other stuff, our BMI, our body mass index,
Yes.
and everything. But yeah, that's absolutely, sir, right, Commissioner Bojorquez. A lot of employees think it's a penalty when actually it's an incentive. And Bravo's been around in several areas, and there has been legislation or sorry, I'm looking for. I'm looking for an attorney word. There's been a lawsuit, litigation. There's been litigation out on the East Coast, and it's gone either way. So maybe that's why we're moving outside of that.
But I think that's, since Bravo was introduced, that's always been the case. And now we're changing to the Virgin Plus Health and the EBT. We're doing what I mentioned at our meeting, the Health Plus benefit, which is being paid by EBT, $215 a year for the employees to use that, and that's why I recommended, the directors to push on it, the city manager push the directors, which is a benefit for everybody's life,
Right.
Try to get monitor, try to get a good health and take advantage of that, good, I think it's a very good, health, technique or health, assurance that we could use.
And one more thing I want to add, ever since COVID started, that charge has not been implemented to anyone. And those that were within the Bravo spectrum received a nice thank you from the EBT board, a gym bag, a smartwatch for their stepper thing
Yeah.
to mark their steps and stuff. So we gave some of that money back.
It tracks you to see if you get home.
Exactly. So we have not paid that, or at least employees have not contributed into that charge or surcharge in well over a year at this point.
Yes.
So I know we got a little bit off track. But yeah, that is a concern that we've heard before and are wanting to address. However, we're moving away from Bravo as of next month.
Okay, we done?
We're done, sir.
All right, we need to vote on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Guys have it. Any future agenda items
None at this point. At least not on my end.
from the commissioners?
Are we having a meeting next month?
Next
Yes,
month, we should, if,
we are. We're moving back
Unless
into that
something-
monthly meeting,
unless something happens.
right?
You think you'll have the changes and updates for the ACOP and AP by next month, or?
I will certainly do my best to do so. I know we have a lot of work already invested in it, so we might be able to bring something, or at least a good chunk of them.
Okay. That would probably be one of the only agenda items that I think.
All right,
Move
now motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, Mayor.
All right.